short term, medium and long term. Short term and medium we can expect from the academia, but long term industry has to invest of its own because it requires a lot of money. Suppose you want to develop a drug, starting from getting a culture to getting a compound, it takes around 15 years. When I was the partner of Frankfurt, we have got a culture, we got a compound in 1992. Today is 2014, it is in the clinical trial phase 3 and 4 in between, not even seen the light as a drug. So a lot of money is invested. So academic people will not help in that. Only we have to invest of our own. So in the interaction for medium size and low target things, we can depend on academia but not for long term. And money will be very important factor in all these things.
So, yeah, thank you. So there is a need. See, there is no doubt that the quality of the human resources on both sides are very high. I mean, there are intelligent people on the university side, extremely intelligent people, extremely capable people. There are very capable people on the academic side. Why would they not be attracted to each other? You know? And the reason is, of course, there are priorities, and the government can do a lot about making sure that the priorities are converged. I mean, the priorities, if the government judges just by teaching and by output, and in the case what Raghu was mentioning, if they give them too much of a protected time, which means their ability in academia to get funds to do their research is not dependent upon whether they translate it, it's just a dream, pursuing their own dream, then it becomes a very individual driven thing. It's not mandated. I think there is definitely a role for government to ensure incentive, and there are small movements in that happening. But even if you were to take that away, what would attract people to each other? And I can tell you for sure is that if industry knows something that academia doesn't, and if academia knows something that industry doesn't, then you want each other. What is the source of that knowledge? You know, and this I learned the hard way, and I figured out, if you're in industry, you rarely ever rely on published literature. Because you know when you publish, it's already 1.5 years to 2 years out of date. And what gets published is not is basically what's not important. I mean, this is the sad truth. And what's important is never revealed. Okay? So the way industry thrives is not by reading publication, but is by hearing and listening. It's by attending conferences and having talk. Oh, we're also having this problem. Both of us don't talk about it, but we know now we both have this problem. Okay? How do you find this? That is how you know where the real problem is. Because if you have a solution to a problem, that's when somebody wants to talk to us, right? But what do we do here in academia? We read literature. This is the latest publication, so it must be latest, but I'm sorry to say it is outdated. Okay? And many times we see that. I don't know what the exact solution to that is. See, what are the cutting edge problems? But I can tell you that if there are many eminent scientists in our country who are at the cutting edge. How do they get their information? They get their information by networks. They don't get their information from papers. They get their information by visiting other people's lab, looking at that. When one comes back fresh, one from PhD, one is probably working on a cutting edge problem. But without that feedback or this casual interaction, it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, that is all people driven. Okay? You have to, I mean, those of you who took the effort to actually come here in spite of the venue are actually interested to do this. So you will reach out. Okay? The same is true on the industry side. Okay? There are certain people who actively go and reach out because they recognize the value. Okay? We have to create more such forums for this to happen. That is when you will see, I mean, and we can already see that there are constraints on both sides. Not that one thing, I mean, there is a lot of admiration on the industry side for the capabilities of academia. There is a lot of admiration on the academia for the capabilities that industries have. There is really nothing to be gained by staying away. We have to find reasons for people to come together. Okay? And the reason will always be cutting edge knowledge. Do you want to say that?
I have been associated with policy making in Goa, which brought me in touch with and which threw me out of the ivory tower. And I believe that when we are doing research, I mean, we work in the lab, we work on instruments and all. I have a totally different perception that where exactly my research is going to land, because as you rightly said that in industry the business models are very important, profit and losses are very important, but we have brought generations after generation in rote learning, and where we only test the memory retention power of the students. They are
not the thinking or the problem
they are
solving.
totally alienated, sir, from, and for many of our faculty members also, entering an industry and watching the machinery is a culture shock. So I developed, in consultation with Goa Chamber, after taking the feedback, a bio-entrepreneurship and innovation credit course. And that established an interface where we put for 3 weeks students in industries who are collaborating with us. We invited industrialists to interact with our students and talk about their business model. We actually showed them Biocon Kiran Mazumdar Shaw's recorded interviews, and lots of other people also from American companies. I don't remember any video was there on those lines. And students discussed, students prepared small projects. And when students ultimately submitted terminal reports, and I interviewed them and also got feedback from the company, we thought that now at least we have done a little bit towards what you are talking about. I think these type of interfaces are required to reach the
I think this is a brilliant thing. See, in our universities, and we must be frank here, there is no yardstick to measure the success of the teaching program. How relevant are the students who are produced relevant to industry? Okay, we judge them by how much marks and by rote learning, but if you judge them by employability criteria and how prepared they are to actually go into industry, it's pathetic. And so what does industry do? In Karnataka, for instance, we created finished schools for biotech. So we tried to take people who are the best students out of university and then now try to make them, put some plaster on top of them to make them at least employable. That is the pathetic nature of teaching in our universities, and we have to face this. And we have to be brave enough to say that the only way we are going to make our, see, because as academics, as myself, I've been a teacher for some time, we have a duty towards our students, right? We have to make sure that they go out into the world, they are employable. How do we make them that? We have to reach out. We have to reach out, we have to get them to work on problems, make them aware. I mean, this is a brilliant way of doing it. YouTube is a fantastic boon to society. I mean, you will see so many interviews. Why is Kiran Mazumdar saying that? Okay, what does that mean? Why is she talking about these kind of government policies? What does it mean, really? Okay, if she goes on and on, for instance, about regulatory affairs in the country, what does this mean? And if you could actually engage, it would open up a lot. So it does need a reach out from both sides.
I have one point.
Speak louder, don't look at the mic.
The interaction between industry and academy is very, very important. It will drive, in fact, the students to do quality work, come up with any problem. I have my own experience. I had collaboration with Davos, developed process for production of asthma and Aristar range of tonics. So there they used to throw, in fact, 50% of their product because of contamination problems. That's where now they contacted me. We developed the collaborative project through DBT, DSP. There was a separate program for it. I used to come up with some problem, they solved instantly. That's how we could complete the work within the span of 2.5 years. Then it was patented, and there is now giant patent between me and the Davos. They drive you, in fact, to work in the direction of their own benefit out of it, but that helps us in doing work in a faster way.
Oh, truly it will be beneficial because there are no evil people on either side. I mean, I can assure you. I mean, the people, by the way, the people from industry that university will usually interact with would be the academic research types from the industry. You're rarely going to interact with the marketing manager. Okay?
So, the only problem is that students do not get the publications.
So that is something that we have to fix because industry thrives on knowledge, on competitive edge. That we have to understand that. I think so. What's important? What can be done? First of all, I think on both sides there has to be a certain calibration of expectations. Okay, for an industry trying to interact with a university that doesn't have a history of interaction with industry, it can be a culture shock.
Sir, before you conclude with your forum, I would like to attract